Hello, I'm Jeffrey Peterson, AFA NBC President, Alaska Airlines. Today is Thursday, October the 4th, 2012. We just wrapped up 3 days of negotiations at the Alaska Airlines Flight Operations and Training Center in Seattle. Just wanted to welcome back our staff negotiator, Paula Mastrangelo. She was gone for several months at the American Eagle bankruptcy talks. We thank staff negotiator Joe Burns and our staff attorney Kimberly Shapue for filling in Paula's absence. So thank you two so much for that, and welcome back to Paula. We discussed several sections this time, which would be 8 hours of service, 10 scheduling, 11 reserve, 12 exchange of sequences, 16 sick leave, as well as the new hotel section. We signed a Sideletter to extend the application for mediation. As you recall, as part of the contract extension, that we jointly agreed to apply for mediation 1 year after starting negotiations. That date is quickly coming up on us, as November the 29th. We have agreed, as long as both parties are continuing forward to negotiate in good faith, that we will delay applying for mediation until one of the parties feels that it's necessary to do so. Until then, we will continue to meet with management. Consequently, we've scheduled more dates all the way into April, 1 date a month or 1 week a month every month until April, in which we have 2 weeks scheduled. We are looking for more dates, possibly, if the company can pick those dates up. At this point, we're having some scheduling challenges, and just want to recognize that early on, management was interested in scheduling more dates, and that because of staff negotiator challenges, we were not able to give them more dates. And now that we have Paula back, we're able to potentially have more dates, but management, being in negotiations with ALPA and perhaps a few other groups, is having some challenges there. So just be aware that both parties are interested in moving the contract forward as quickly as possible while doing it right, and that we are definitely open to having more dates if management is able to swing that. So stand by for more developments there, hopefully in the near future. One of the highlights of the week was talking about Section 12, which is exchange of sequences, mainly open time. We had a very free-flowing discussion with manager of crew scheduling, Kieran Whitney, along with the rest of the management team, which we are building upon a previous concept that we proposed to management that will help increase flexibility by opening more days in open time. As that's been a quickly moving target, we don't want to communicate the details quite yet until those are more fully realized. Once we have some details that we feel comfortable communicating, we'll make sure to do so, very likely at the next session. Some of the other key points that we'd like to communicate is we're looking at decreasing the number of ER days that are scheduled. We think that'll be very favorably received by the reserves, and we'll communicate more details once that's shored up. In the new hotel section, we agreed in principle on most favorable language with the pilots, and what that means is that we will have the better of either our language, or if the pilots negotiate better language in their upcoming contract negotiations, that the pilots' provisions would apply, whichever is the greater of the two, so we can in no way lose out in the hotel section. It's very good news. A couple bumps in the road during the week is in Section 10, which is the scheduling section. The company gave us a proposal that was a counter-proposal on something we'd given to them last time that was not as fully developed as we would have liked. It more or less ignored our previous proposal, and we did take management to task for not looking at our proposal, and they did promise to put those together going forward for next time. Section 16 is the sick leave section. We're still working with management to improve the sick leave benefit for flight attendants. One of the concepts that we're banding around with management is some application of being able to cash out your sick leave at some point in your career. However, the counter proposal that came back from management was made into what we would see as a concessionary proposal, and so we continue to work on reaching an agreement that will work for both parties. At the very end of the session, we debriefed our expectations for negotiations. We passed along to management once again that this is not a concessionary contract. We expect some significant improvements to our contract, and that it is in management's best interest to recognize that sooner rather than later. We scheduled our next session for November the 13th, 2012, in just over a month from now. And one of the first points of business for that particular session is we have or we are interested in scheduling a field trip over to the Seattle airport in order to have management check out the new crew facilities. As you recall, we moved from the D concourse in Seattle over to the C concourse into a much smaller crew room than we had before, and that is right next to the pilot's much larger facility. And as we are trying to get in the hotel language, we also would like to get into this provision, in that we'd like to see parity between the flight attendants and the pilots, or something along those lines. We want to make sure that there's adequate facilities for our flight attendants in the largest domicile in particular, and also everywhere else. So we're very much looking forward to walking through management as we go through to check out those facilities. If you have any more questions about negotiations, you can always check out the Alaska Airlines Negotiations Facebook page, or you can check out the Alaska MEC website anytime at www.alaska-mec.org.